but we'll bounce back. Maybe March 21st onwards or April 21st onwards, when things normalize.
Albeit, as I said, a bit late, it's still very much in time to get this Unlock 5 in the important half of the year.
The centre announces fresh relaxations to the COVID-19 curbs, allows cinema halls, entertainment parks to open from the 15th of October with riders, also allows states to take a call on the reopening of schools, stocks of hotels, F&B players, multiplex owners, film companies, brewers and beverage companies gain in trade. GST collection rises to 95,480 crore rupees in September, the highest so far in this financial year. That's a 4% rise from year-ago levels. Green shoots visible in the Indian manufacturing space. The Purchasing Managers Index soars to 56.8 in September, hitting the highest level since January of 2012. Merchandise export growth is seen nearing double digits in September after continuous contraction since March. Auto companies enjoy a smooth drive in September. Bajaj Auto and Escorts impressed the street with their sales growth. Maruti Suzuki also meets expectations. It's a mixed bag for M&M, with tractor sales beating estimates. Airports Authority of India takes a hit as the pandemic and the lockdown take a toll on the aviation sector. Sources say the airport operator is likely to post a net loss of over 1,000 crore rupees this fiscal. This will be its first loss since its inception in 1995. 3 lakh crore rupee loan guarantee scheme for MSMEs may not be fully used by the end of October. As at the end of September, only 1.86 lakh crore rupees has been sanctioned under the scheme. Sources say the government is likely to take a call on extending the scheme if necessary. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman and her team ready to kick off the preparations for Budget 2021. The Finance Ministry circular says pre-budget meetings with various ministries will begin from the 16th of October. The largest COVID-19 survey in the world conducted in Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh shows super spreaders are India's major concern, as 8% of those infected led to 60% of new cases. The authors of the report say India is not out of the woods yet, add that rapid antigen tests are skewing India's positivity rates and that India is under-testing by a large magnitude.
मैं सिर्फ ये सवाल पूछ रहा हूँ कि इस हिंदुस्तान में क्या सिर्फ आरएसएस और बीजेपी के लोग चल सकते हैं? क्या आम आदमी नहीं चल सकता? इस देश में सिर्फ मोदी जी पैदल जा सकते हैं? एक आम नागरिक नहीं जा सकता क्या?
Congress leaders Rahul Gandhi and Priyanka Gandhi Vadra detained and then released in UP after being stopped from travelling to Hathras to meet the deceased rape victim's family. Rahul Gandhi says a meeting with the family in mourning also scares the UP government. US President Trump signs a bill to keep the government running into December after funding briefly lapses. The law will ensure the US government does not go through a crippling shutdown about a month before the 2020 elections. Well, those are the headlines that we're tracking for you. Good evening. Thanks very much for joining us on India Business Hour. I'm Shireen Bhan. The centre has unveiled the latest set of relaxations for the COVID-19 curbs with an aim to open up more sectors. While some of these changes are effective from today, some restrictions will be eased later during the month. So let me quickly take you through the latest relaxations. Cinema halls, theatres, multiplexes will be allowed to reopen with 50% seating capacity outside containment zones. This is from the 15th of October. The Information and Broadcasting Ministry will issue a separate set of standard operating protocols. Entertainment parks have also been permitted to resume operations from the 15th. Norms for gathering in indoor spaces have been relaxed as well. A maximum of 50% of hall capacity can be used with a ceiling of 200 people from the 15th of October. State and union territories have been given the flexibility to take a call on reopening of schools and coaching institutions in a graded manner post the 15th. However, in case states decide to reopen schools or coaching institutions, they will need to prepare their own SOP. The Home Ministry has also said the Department of Higher Education may take a decision on the timing of the opening of colleges and higher education institutions sometime in the immediate future. Now let's get a sense of what industry makes of these measures that were announced earlier. Ajay Bijli, the CMD of PVR, India's largest multiplex chain, is optimistic that the business will bounce back by the start of the next fiscal. Puneet Chatwal of Indian Hotels, hopeful of bookings picking up as the wedding season gets underway. However, restaurateur Riaz Amlani is cautious. He believes restaurants will see a painful and slow recovery.
6 months have already gone, 7 months now. So 2 quarters are gone, but we'll bounce back maybe March 21st onwards or April 21st onwards when things normalize. Vaccine is going to come. It's a humanitarian crisis and only humanity is going to resolve it. And then people will come back. Since our costs have come down dramatically, I think now even at 15% or something will be okay. But we'll be staggering our shows all over the world. We've been benchmarking. We will remove the skew from weekend to weekdays. We'll be having lots of offers from Monday to Thursday. We'll be having Savers Day. In any case, I don't want to crowd the people on the weekends. These are not those times where you need the cinemas to be packed. So I'm quite happy that even if it runs at 50% occupancy over the weekend, it's okay. We'll have checkered seating and all that. We also want to bring the consumer confidence back.
90% of our food and beverage revenue comes from really restaurants and banqueting business. So when we report our results, on an average, around 45% of total revenue can be attributed to food and beverage and almost 50% to non-rooms. So we have been missing 45% of the revenue for last 6 months. October to March is when the industry does 60% or to 65% of the revenue in most of the brands. And although, albeit, as I said, a bit late, it's still very much in time to get this unlock 5 in the important half of the year.
Business is going to be around 30, 40, 50% pre-pandemic levels. And it'll start climbing up slowly and surely, but it is going to be a slow and a painful process. During that period of time, we will need support from our landlords to be able so that we can remain open and continue to engage with our customers. And where we cannot reach those kind of agreements and understandings, which is fair to both the landlord as well as the tenant, we will take a call and we will shut down. Fortunately, for 90% of our outlets, we've been able to convince landlords.
So business is reacting to the Unlock 5 guidelines. It has been 8 months since India reported the first coronavirus infection. The caseload is now second in the world, second only to the US. A major study of the disease in 2 of the worst affected states, that's Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh, by the US-based Center for Disease Dynamics, Economics and Policy, along with 2 state governments, shows some unique patterns of transmission. Now, the study was conducted in August. It covered over 5.75 lakh individuals who were exposed to nearly 85,000 confirmed cases of COVID-19. This is the largest study of the disease anywhere in the world. The most striking revelation is the role played by super spreaders. 71% of those infected did not transmit the virus to anyone, but just 8% of those infected accounted for all 60% of all new infections. India's case fatality rate has been less than 2% and is one of the lowest in the world. But if you look at an age-wise breakup of the death, it shows that more young people are dying in India compared to other countries. The case fatality rate between age 40 to 70 is the highest in India. About 35% of the deaths in India are between the ages of 50 to 64. If you compare that to the US, the same age group accounts for only about 15% of the deaths. On the other hand, more than 58% of the deaths in the US are above the age of 75. In India, that number is just 18%. Speaking to me earlier today, the author of the report said that India is not out of the woods yet, added that rapid antigen tests are skewing India's positivity rates and that India is under-testing by a large magnitude. Take a look.
The introduction of the rapid antigen test, as Dr. Jamil just said, is probably skewing our positivity rates and the results. So unless you can compare apples to apples, which is RT-PCR with rapid antigen test, policy response should be that we increase RT-PCR testing to the extent possible. I think what Tamil Nadu has done is really important, which is stay with a consistent testing And with a reliable test, I think the rapid antigen test, really creates a lot more problems than it solves in the way that is being carried out right now. We've got to drop this language of the lockdown and move into the language of what is feasible. It will require government to be a lot more engaged in finding solutions for businesses to try to open up.
If you go by reports that a very large fraction of tests that are being done are rapid antigen tests which have lower sensitivity, then this number is likely to be higher. Real picture will not really emerge until the pandemic is over, we are done and dusted. And the mixed messaging I'm talking about is that our death rate is the lowest in the world. Our recovery rate is the highest in the world. Now, if you really analyze this, if your death rate is 2%, your recovery rate should approach 98%. India's recovery rate today is 83.5%. It is getting there, but it doesn't mean that our recovery rates are very high. The second about India's death rate being the lowest in the world. Yes, it is low when we compare ourselves to Western Europe or US. It is not low when we compare ourselves to our neighbors.
This is the big corporate story. Check number 5 for Reliance Retail as investors continue to place their bets on the company. After KKR, General Atlantic and 2 investments from Silver Lake, Abu Dhabi sovereign wealth fund Mubadala has invested over 6,200 crore rupees in Reliance Retail, picking up 1.4% stake. As I mentioned, this is the 5th investment in the company, taking the total investment so far to just under 25,000 crore rupees after selling 5.65% stake. Nisha joins us now with more. Nisha, the Reliance Retail juggernaut rolls on with many of the common investors across Jio and now retail.
That's right, Shireen. In fact, from Jio platforms, all the investors are making a beeline and investing in Reliance Retail also. And they are clearly putting their trust and their bet on the digital opportunities in India. So with this particular investment, it's almost close to 25,000 crore rupees of investments coming into Reliance Retail for a little over 5.5% stake from 4 investors. But an important aspect to note is that this particular investment from Mubadala has also come in at the same valuation as General Atlantic and the last tranche of Silver Lake, which is the higher valuation of 4.285 lakh crore rupees. So this looks like now the benchmark for the valuation of Reliance Retail. We'll have to see how each of these investments close and whether or not the future investors come at an uptick in the overall valuations of the company. That will be watched out very closely. But it's not the end of it. I assure you, more investors are likely to come in.
Oh, yes. It doesn't seem like it's the end of it just yet. But Nisha, many thanks for joining us. Mubadala investing 6,247 crore rupees in Reliance Retail. As we pointed out, that is the 5th investment that's come in. Nirmala Sitharaman and her team are ready to kick off the preparations for Budget 2021. A Finance Ministry circular says pre-budget meetings with various ministries will begin from the 16th of October. GST collections see an uptick in September, rise to 95,480 crore rupees versus 86,400 crores in August. This is a growth of 4% compared to the year ago mop-up and is also the highest in the last 6 months. Signs of green shoots in Indian manufacturing. The Purchasing Managers Index rises from 52 in August to 56.8 in September, hitting the highest level since January 2012. The surge is supported by accelerated increases in new orders and production. India's merchandise export growth is seen nearing double-digit rate in September. Sources say that after continuous contraction since March, there has been a strong rebound in merchandise exports. More good news on the data front, this time from auto sales in September. Passenger vehicle major Maruti has seen a 30% jump in total sales compared to the same period a year ago. Similar picture for Tata Motors, where domestic sales have jumped 37%. It wasn't just cars. Escorts has impressed the street with tractor sales with an over 9% increase year on year and a 63% jump month-on-month. M&M did better with a 77% jump in tractor sales month-on-month. From the two-wheeler space, Bajaj Auto's total sales jumped 24% month-on-month. Exports saw the highest ever monthly figure at 2.12 lakh. Hero Motor has seen a 24% increase in total sales, while Eicher Motors Royal Enfield has reported a 1% jump. So that's the news coming in from the auto sector. Turbulent times for the Airports Authority of India as COVID-19 and lockdowns take a toll on the aviation space. Sources say AAI is likely to post a net loss of over 1,000 crore rupees. This will be the first time in its history that it posts a loss. Anu gets us the details. Anu, what's the overall picture looking like for AAI? What about CapEx?
Well, sources tell us that Airports Authority of India is likely to post a net loss of over 1,000 crore rupees in FY21. Now, this is going to be its first loss in a period of 25 years. That means since its inception in 1995. Now, we've been given to understand that despite the weak situation as far as bottom line is concerned, they do plan to stick to their capex plan for FY21. And that is going to be above 4,000 crore rupees. Out of this 4,000 crore rupees, they expect borrowings to be about 3,000 crore rupees. And out of the total borrowings of 3,000 crore rupees, they are already closing a term loan deal with Axis Bank, and this is for about 2,100 crore rupees. Other than this, they also plan to borrow another 1,000 crore rupees from domestic or overseas market by January 2021. So overall, 3,000 crore rupees of borrowings for the financial year. And also, as far as other funds are concerned, they expect upfront payment of around 1,000 crore rupees from Adani Group for the 3 airports that they will acquire in November 2020. So overall, broadly, there is an expectation of a weak year, but Airports Authority of India expect their revenues to become better and gradually increase the capex and double it over a period of 3 years. For now, back to you.
All right, Anu, many thanks for joining us. A quick check of some of the other headlines of the day. Indian equities start October on a positive note, with the Sensex and the Nifty up 1.5% each. Benchmark indices also posted their biggest weekly gains in the last 3 months, rising over 3% each. All sectoral indices ended higher, with the Bank Nifty leading the rally. The 444 crore rupee Mazagon Dock Shipbuilders IPO sees rip-roaring demand. Issue is subscribed 157 times, as the HNI portion is subscribed 679 times. The retail portion subscribed over 35 times. Chemcon Specialty Chemicals lists at 730 rupees per share, 115% premium to its issue price. The stock succumbs to profit booking as the day wears on. Ends the first day on the bourse is 22% off the day's high at 584 rupees. Financial infrastructure services company CAM started the Lal Street innings by listing at a 23% premium to its issue price, but falls over the day to end just 14% higher than the issue price. Partial relief for air passengers in the airfare refund case. The Supreme Court accepts the government's formula for credit shell validity till the 31st of March 2021, approves credit shell as refund for tickets booked prior to the lockdown for travel till the 24th of May. Prime Minister Modi's travel becomes more secure. A new special aircraft equipped with missile defense systems lands in Delhi. The aircraft is as advanced as the one being used by the US president. The government's 3 lakh crore rupee credit guarantee scheme for MSMEs may not be fully utilized by the end of October, when the scheme is scheduled to end. Sources say the government will therefore take a call on whether to extend the scheme further. Sapna Das joins us now with the details. Sapna, what should we understand? If the MSMEs are in pain, which is what we believe they are in, then how come this continues to be unutilized?
Well, what we have picked up is from the government is the fact that, possibly the 3 lakh crore number is the maximum estimated amount that could have worked out as sanctions. But looking at the current pace of sanctions, particularly because the October 31 closing deadline deals with the sanctioned amount and not the disbursement amount. So what is being indicated is that looking at the current pace of sanctions, the fact that, it's probably flattening out now because it has been in existence for some time. And of course, the scheme is still open till the month end. But having said that, maybe they will be touching somewhere around 2.20 lakh crore at best. So that much of headroom will remain unutilized is what the expectation within government circles is. But as I said earlier, what they are indicating are 2-3 things. One, this was the maximum amount that they have estimated. So one can't really say notional, but this was a maximum what they had thought. The second thing they're also saying, and this is public data which has come out from the PIB today, that 45 lakh MSMEs have already availed the scheme. Probably that was what the government was looking at as a saturation kind of a point. However, the amount that they have kept is slightly larger. So hence that may remain unutilized, as I've just said. Last but not the least, they're also saying it's not necessary that every MSME in the country, and the numbers are into crores, will meet the requirement of the scheme. So that's what the logic is at their end. According to government, the scheme has done pretty well. Also, the other thing that needs to be kept in mind, the sanction date may be closing on October 31, but it is still open till December 31 because disbursements will follow the sanctions. So that will remain open. So they may take a call towards the month end, that's around 28th or 29th October, looking at the pace of sanctions and decide whether it needs to be extended any further. But my sense very clearly is that they may not extend. 2.20 lakh crore is what they will do best by around month end. That is the current month end.
All right, Sapna, many thanks for joining us. That is the latest on the MSME scheme. Here's the big national story. In the Hathras gang rape case, 3 days after an autopsy report confirmed the gang rape of a 19-year-old Dalit girl who succumbed to her injuries, Prashant Kumar, a senior UP cop, claims otherwise. Kumar says the forensic report of the girl makes it clear that she was not raped. He alleges that some people are trying to stir caste-based tensions. Kumar says the forensic report hasn't found sperm in the sample. The autopsy report dated September 29th referred to rape and strangulation and a cervical spinal injury. Meanwhile, Congress leaders Rahul Gandhi and Priyanka Gandhi Vadra, who were en route to Hathras, were detained by the police. The Gandhis were marching towards Hathras after authorities blocked their cavalcade near Yamuna Expressway. In fact, a scuffle broke out between the Congress workers and the police. Rahul Gandhi alleged the police pushed him to the ground.
लाठी मार के गिराया, ठीक है? मैं कुछ नहीं कह रहा हूँ, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं। मैं सिर्फ ये सवाल पूछ रहा हूँ कि इस हिंदुस्तान में क्या सिर्फ आरएसएस और बीजेपी के लोग चल सकते हैं? क्या आम आदमी नहीं चल सकता? इस देश में सिर्फ मोदी जी पैदल जा सकते हैं? एक आम नागरिक नहीं जा सकता क्या? कौन सा नया कानून है? इन्होंने हमारी गाड़ी रोकी, हम गाड़ी से उतरे, पैदल गए।
हम कहाँ जा रहे हैं? हम उस लड़की के परिवार से मिलने जा रहे हैं जिनको इन्होंने नजरबंद किया है, जिनको इन्होंने धमकाया है, जिनकी सहमति के बिना इन्होंने उस लड़की के अंतिम संस्कार किए हैं। हम उनसे मिलने जा रहे हैं। तो हम कोई अपराध तो करने नहीं जा रहे हैं, हम उनसे मिलने जा रहे हैं। जो सरकार अपने आप को कहती है कि हम धर्म के रखवाले हैं और सारे धार्मिक रस्मों के खिलाफ एक पिता को अपनी बेटी की चिता नहीं जलाने देते, एक पिता को अपनी बेटी को आखिरी बार घर नहीं ले जाने देते, उस सरकार के कानून क्या है?
Congress leaders Priyanka Gandhi Vadra and Rahul Gandhi detained and then released as they made their way to Hathras. Time for a break, but coming up next, our special report on cardiology at the doorsteps, an initiative by doctors to bridge the access gap for screening heart-related problems in rural and semi-urban Karnataka. Reporting of acute cardiac emergencies has seen a massive disruption during the nationwide lockdown. However, rural Karnataka fared better, where a doctor's initiative to install ECG machines in rural and semi-urban areas came handy to save lives. Archana Shukla reports on cardiology at doorsteps that's bridging the access gap for screening heart-related problems of people in the hinterlands. Take a look.
Nationwide lockdown made pretty much all healthcare services inaccessible to the general public, including emergency services, even for those living in big cities and metros. But deep in the interiors of rural Karnataka, clinics and health centers were handling emergency cardiac care seamlessly, thanks to a 2-year-old initiative called Cardiology at Doorsteps, which operates an electrocardiography network in remote rural areas and connects doctors and service operators through WhatsApp. So while the rest of the country came to a standstill between April and May, this group performed more than 2,000 ECGs, and its timely diagnosis led to over 210 heart attacks being averted.
It was tailor-made for the COVID pandemic, if you have to put it in those terms. Because when the COVID pandemic struck and when the lockdown was announced, we had all our machines in place. That patients were scared to come out. They were fearing, contracting the virus. There was so much of social stigma. They didn't want to come to the hospital. They didn't want to come out. But because these centers, our ECG stations were very close to their house, or you can call that at their doorstep, they went there, they got the ECG done, and there was no lockdown for our ECG reporting. We functioned 24/7.
Dr. Kamath started this initiative after one of his patients lost his life because he had to wait 72 hours and travel 150 kilometers just to get an ECG done, when a quicker diagnosis could have saved his life. Operating on a hub-and-spoke model to connect patients to doctors, Cardiology at Doorstep has installed ECG machines and networked 275 centers across 21 districts in rural Karnataka, adding 60 machines during COVID pandemic itself.
This is a very, very simplified one. We start networking the villages or doctors or primary health centers or community health centers which do not have this basic facility of ECG.
So, in
the last 2 years, we have been trying to reach the farthest of taluks with our ECG machines under the CAD initiative. In these taluks, we have got 17 ECG machines for 17 hospitals.
ECG mission
From 150 doctors associated in 2018, it now has 2,000 doctors, including 30 cardiologists who provide their opinions on ECG reports shared in 8 WhatsApp groups, making it a perfect example of telemedicine.
You see the reach and you see the connect and you see the national integrity here. A villager in Karnataka, small village, will get the benefit of a cardiologist from Uttar Pradesh, or even for that matter New Delhi, or for that matter Mumbai. I want the program to expand to the entire nation. We started networking Maharashtra, especially the Vidarbha region, and we could not complete it because of the COVID pandemic. We had plans in Punjab, we had plans in Assam, we had plans even in Tamil Nadu, but we are not able to go through with that plan. It is not possible for me to continue with whatever resources I have nationwide, because it needs large funding.
70% of the funding needed for procuring and installing machines has been effected through donations by patient families and philanthropists. Government support has been minimal. But as the government pushes its telemedicine and digital health mission programs, Cardiology at Doorsteps hopes it will get larger financial assistance to take its crusade against coronary artery disease across the country. In Mumbai, Archana Shukla.
Well, bridging the gap there. Now, big news coming in from the US. The US Senate Commerce Committee has voted to subpoena the CEOs of Facebook, Google and Twitter to testify before the panel. This is regarding concerns over the tech industry's key legal shield, Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act. So this is going to be big. Sundar Pichai, Jack Dorsey and Mark Zuckerberg to be subpoenaed and by the Senate committee, and will have to appear before the committee. Well, with that, it is time for us to wrap up this edition of India Business Hour. From all of us here for now, goodbye. Thanks for watching.